All right, good afternoon to everyone tuning in on our live stream, RF Bank and Trust on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn. I am your host, Ife Bethel-Sears, a Bahamian millennial who is so eager to learn about how to make better financial decisions by exploring opportunities that are available to us here in the Bahamas to invest and trade in our stock market. I'm here with my fellow Bahamian, Quentin Gibson, who is a RF Bank and Trust Senior Securities Trader. Thank you to our audience for taking the time out of your busy schedule to join Quentin and me for this informative 30-minute session. Don't be ashamed to take notes. I could be right here taking my notes as Quentin informs us on all things trade and investing. In the first 20 minutes, I will ask Quentin questions that will allow him to break down what trading is, what investing is, what our stock market is even about. During that time, please feel free to type in any feedback, any questions you may have into the chats on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Our team will send those questions on over to us. And in the last 10 minutes, we will do a Q&A with your questions with Quentin. And so before we get into my discussion with Quentin, I would love for Quentin to briefly share his inspiring journey of starting as a bank teller at Royal Fidelity Bank, where he knew little to nothing about trading and investing, but found the determination and perseverance to work his way to his senior position, which is his current position as the Senior Securities Trader at RF Bank and Trust. He is so passionate about what he does in terms of educating others on how to make the financial system work for us. Quentin?
All right, so first I want to introduce myself the way you did as a Bahamian millennial, and I want to introduce myself as Quentin Gibson, a future Bahamian millionaire. So that's for you guys to want to tune into what I have to say even more, because if I can confidently say that, I trust that that'll make you want to listen to what I have to say. I started out as a teller at Fidelity Bank, not a clue of what to do, barely knew what a withdrawal was, to be honest. And I ended up watching a movie as I tried to navigate and figure out what it is I was going to do with my career.
Which movie is that?
The Wolf of Wall Street, right? The Wolf of Wall Street. Typical, young 18-year-old raging over this movie. But I took it really seriously. I remember him saying specifically a point about doing his Series 7, and that's how he became a stockbroker. I automatically got interested and started self-studying. There was no incentive for me to study for this exam. That time where I worked, it wasn't an investment firm at that time. It was just Fidelity Bank, and then there was Royal Fidelity attached to it. So I didn't necessarily have a clear path to it, but I knew that this is what I wanted to do. So I went, I self-studied, I sat the exam, and I remember when I passed it, it filled me up with so much joy, because I was like, this is a dream of mine, a goal of mine that came to me. I saw this and I went after it and I achieved it. And then shortly after that, started working at Royal Fidelity, and the rest is gravy. Did my CFP, became a certified financial planner, started doing all these media obligations, and here we are today, realizing the dream and seeing what it is you saw for yourself actually coming to fruition, and now coming up with new dreams and seeing more things for myself in the future.
And your passion for educating,
100%.
Not just for yourself, but for others, is really important to share too.
And that is the next step in what it is I'm trying to do. I actually started my own financial page where I give a lot of financial advice. I do YouTube videos, and I just try to help people understand that investing is a way to make life less of a struggle for yourself in the future. It's all about creating a path from no financial stability to financial stability, and it's an achievable path for most. So I just want to help people get there for the most part.
Exactly. Yeah. So on this live, we're going to be dispelling all of the myths that you have around the Bahamian stock market, because I myself, I'm going to be learning from ground zero.
Yeah.
So Quentin, we're going to get into these questions. I want you to break things down in the simplest of elementary terms for someone like me to understand. So here's the $1 million question. What is trading? Dun, dun, dun.
So, that is the basis of all of this, right? So trading is, in the simplest form, the buying and selling of stocks. That's all trading is, the buying and selling of stocks on the exchange.
And what are stocks?
So stocks are equity positions in companies. So When a company wants to raise capital, they come to a firm like ours. We assist them with putting together a deal. Then that deal then turns into a stock offering. It's called a primary offering. From there, the stocks are issued to the public. The funds that those persons would have paid to purchase those stocks then goes to the company, and in exchange for that, the persons who bought the stocks have an equity or ownership position in the company.
Okay, so then take it a step further and tell me, what is investing?
So investing is when you take your capital and you invest it and you put it into an asset to produce a higher return, to grow it, or for it to make you more money.
Okay.
That's what investing is, yes.
And then the stock market, the Bahamian stock market in its simplest form in definition, what is that?
Right. So the term, and even the words themselves actually explain it. It's a stock market.
Right.
So the local stock market is the Bahamas International Stock Exchange. That's where the stocks trade. And really what it is a place that you can go to buy and sell stocks. It's where you can go after the shares have been, like I said, the primary offering, where the shares initially sold. Then you move on to a place where you can actually buy and sell stocks between individuals and individuals and companies. So companies also buy stocks as well. So businesses and companies own stocks, and in the stock market is where they can buy and sell the stocks after it's already been issued to the public.
Okay, cool. Yes. So we have the foundation of what is stocks, what is investing, and what is the stock market.
Yes.
How do I get started?
All right, so anyone can get started because all you're required to do is open a brokerage account. So opening a brokerage account is, if you don't know what a brokerage account is.
No, we don't know what a brokerage account is.
You know what? Because I like you. I'm going to actually explain to you what a brokerage account is. I wasn't sure what I was going to, but I'll do it for you today, all right? So a brokerage account is where most investors hold, buy, and sell securities like mutual funds, stocks, bonds, preference shares, and so forth.
Okay.
Yeah.
So anyone can start.
Anyone can start.
And what are the steps? Like, walk me through. Like, I'm with you right now. We're setting up. Walk me through the steps.
If you were interested in opening a brokerage account with me today, I would first have you complete all of our KYC forms. So you writing your name and everything, all your personal details.
And KYC is know your client.
Know your client, yeah. So all of our account opening documents you would have to complete, and also provide photo identification documents of yourself. From there, there's a minimum of $100 required to open up a brokerage account. We have different brokerage account levels, but just to keep it simplified today, there's a minimum of $100 to open up the brokerage account. You would send the funds in or write a check. Within 3 to 5 business days, you are approved. They'll email you.
Simple as that.
Simple as that.
Jeez. Yes. So you don't need to be a millionaire. You don't need to be wealthy.
No.
You need $100 to begin.
No, because you don't need to be those things because you want to know something. That is how people become those things.
It's the path to wealth.
Yes, exactly. It's not the end result. That is how you get there in the first place, through starting these things. Yes.
Okay, cool. So I'm clear on those steps. I hope y'all are clear too. But if you're not sending those questions, let us know what you want to know if we don't ask those at this time.
Yeah.
So next step is, how do we determine what to look for in a company?
All right. So, there's a lot of ways that you can determine it, and it can get very complex if you want to take that route, but investing can be very, very simple if you want it to be. The first thing you need to always look for in a company, in my opinion, so I just lift off a few of the things that you should look for.
Yes,
the first thing you want to do is see the growth of earnings of a company. So should you be investing in a company if it's not making money? No, probably not. That's something to consider. So you want to look at has this company consistently earned money, and has the growth of their earnings increased over the years?
And where do we go to find that information?
So these are publicly traded companies. So all of their information is either you might look in the newspaper and see a big ad of a bunch of numbers on a page. That's them putting their financials out there. You can also go to BISX Bahamas. That's the local exchange I was talking about earlier. So the website is BISXBAHAMAS, BISXBahamas.com. You can go to their website and actually find all of these companies that are publicly traded and get all of the information as far as their financials, dividend announcements, and everything. Yeah, you can get all of that on their website.
Okay, so once we look at whether they're doing well, what else should we look for in a company?
So it's not, I wouldn't say, okay, so it's that, and then you want to look at the industry that the company is in. If it's an industry like the financial industry, and you look at this company and you say, well, I didn't even know they were in the financial industry. That's something to consider. They don't have any influence, or they don't have any
brand awareness.
Yes, they don't have. Yeah, they're not. Basically, they're not of any importance in that specific industry. So that's something to consider, because that means if they don't have any significance in that industry, that means they probably don't have any business in that industry. So that's something, again, to consider. It's not to say that it's the be all end all,
right?
But it is something to consider. Another thing that you want to consider is whether the company is paying out dividends and how they've been paying out dividends. So you know what dividends are?
Well, before we even get into dividends, I have a question on the second point.
Okay.
So it's fair to say that you should look at companies that are well established and have a track record of a few years experience versus a startup, for example, in terms of investing.
It's fair to say that be something you consider. Like, why I say it shouldn't be the only thing is because all companies start as startups.
Mm-hmm.
So a company may not necessarily be where it wants to be, but if you look at their financials, and maybe be that they're earning significantly and they're growing. Yeah. So that's why I say you want to making sure a company is earning is important. I would put that as probably the highest priority.
Okay.
But everything else I'm saying is in conjunction. All of it has to come together. So that's why it's called analysis. It's multiple different things to come to an end conclusion.
Okay. And so not just looking at one of the things he's saying, but looking at it as a whole.
Yeah.
So then the third one are dividends. So break down that for us.
Yeah. So dividends is when a company takes a portion of its earnings and pays it out to its shareholders. So you want to look and see if the company has been profitable enough to pay out dividends, and have they been consistent with paying out dividends? Because a lot of persons, when it comes to investing, you want to feel as though you're getting a return on your investment. You want to get something back for what you're putting in. You see?
Very true. Very true.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so are those the three?
Those would be my top
criteria.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I mean, there's other things that you can look at, like their price, their earnings, and so forth. But it gets a little more complex. I just want to keep it simple today. But those are some of the top things you want to look at when it comes to buying stocks. Yes. Okay,
perfect. So just so we're clear, you only need $100 in order to begin.
In order to open a brokerage account. Correct. Yes. Can I give an opinion now?
Yes, we would love your opinion.
All right. Great. So while yes, you can open up a brokerage account with $100, there is a cost to do business as well. So there is things like commission that you have to pay. There's VAT on top of that commission. There's account fees depending on what type of account you have. And when it comes to investing, there's two sides of it. You have to look at the cost, expenses, just as a business will look at this expenses and this earnings. And then that comes out to you minus those, and then you either get your profit or loss.
Okay.
So when you invest money and you don't take your expenses into consideration, you can come out with a loss in the end, even if you were profitable on the investment side.
Interesting.
So that is something that is taken into consideration. So the $100 is sufficient to open up the account. But what I do think, once you've done all of the proper research on a company and you have the confidence in actually buying a stock that you're interested in, I think the minimum, or what I would think is ideal, would be about $5,000. That would be the ideal amount. It's not to say you can't under $5,000.
Right.
Just in my opinion, now it's no longer ideal for you to be investing into individual stocks. But the good thing is we have other products that are in line to help people get to that $5,000 goal.
Okay.
Yeah. So I mean, we had to talk about stocks today though, so I don't want to go too deep into it. You can whenever they reach out to us or they visit our website, they'll see all these different things. But it's not as if you need $5,000 to start trading. No. It's not to say, if I don't have $5,000, I shouldn't start trading. No, it's not to say if I don't have $5,000, I shouldn't open up an account. No, that's not what I'm saying.
Right.
I'm saying there's an ideal way to do things, and then we have a path of how to get to that ideal way to do things.
Okay. Yeah. Perfect. So you hold the person's hand as they're going through this process.
Definitely. The goal here is to help and educate.
Okay. So what advice do you have for someone who's already has shares in a company and wants to sell those shares?
All right. So if you're looking from a standpoint of you want to sell to invest in another company, opening a brokerage account is the path to go through, because now if you sell them, you want to be able to buy something else. And like I said, a brokerage account is to hold, buy, and sell shares. That's what most investors use. But we do have something that's called a retail account for persons who are looking to just liquidate their position. They're just looking to sell their shares. We have something that's called a retail account that facilitates a one-time sale of your shares.
Okay.
Yes, and it's a similar it might actually even be an easier process where it's not as much paperwork to fill out, and it's probably like about three pages or so. You provide your photo identification documents is the same, and you be guided through that process as well. But it's not complicated.
So there are options.
Yes.
And just so we clear, can a person trade without a brokerage account?
No.
So that's an absolute no-no.
Yeah, no, you cannot trade without a brokerage account.
Okay. And what kind of returns would a person earn trading on the local Bahamian stock market?
Okay, so trading stocks on the whole can be lucrative. Trading stocks are one of the most lucrative investments that you can ever put your money into. So there is a lot of opportunity for you to earn. And the two ways that you earn is through dividends, which I touched on earlier, and appreciation. So as I explained, dividends is when a company pays a portion of its earnings to the shareholders. So if I give you an example of a company that I was always impressed by because I started working there, and it's called Fidelity Bank. So when Fidelity Bank, when I started working at Fidelity, their stock price, I don't know if it was exactly when I started working though, it was maybe a year or two before, their price was roughly around $2.
Okay.
Today, their dividend paid in the last 12 months is about 50 cents, somewhere around there. That means that anyone that would have bought their shares when the price was $2 has now earned 25% on their, just in dividends alone, on their investment in the last 12 months. And if that continues to be their dividend paid, and or if it goes up, that means that they have potential to currently earn 25% on their money invested in a company every year and more going forward.
Right.
You know, so where can you get a 25% interest payment on your money? There's nowhere that happens. Those type of opportunities come through stocks, right? And now I want to go into the appreciation side, because that's where real wealth is. Like, that's how you really grow your money, grow your wealth.
Passively.
Passively. Yes, in your sleep.
Making money in your sleep.
You go to sleep with 100 and wake up with 150.
Right.
No actual work done. Right. So it's crazy because you look at people like Jeff Bezos and what's his name, Elon Musk, and they're just trading the position of richest man in the world. But that's only because of their appreciations and depreciations in their stock prices. That's all that is. That's all that movement is. So if you look at it that way, that's a clear indication of this is actually a great path to wealth. It's called equity. And that's what stocks are. Equity is stock. So you might even think about your home. They say when you have equity in your home, that's your home is going up in value. Yeah, so that's really all it is, right? But let me break down the appreciation side of it, because with appreciation, all that really is the value of what is the stock that you own is above the price in which you purchased.
Okay.
Right. So again, back to Fidelity Bank, because I did some numbers and I was highly disappointed that I didn't invest sooner. I'm still young, so
and
I was
that's
able
real.
to fix it.
That's real.
Because I might have been retired today. We might not have had this today if I had actually done that.
Right. We couldn't book you today.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, you would have had to.
Based on dollars.
But Fidelity Bank, again, it was at $2 when I went about maybe 12 years ago, right?
Okay.
Price was at $2. Today the price is at $18.10. $20,000 investment at that time would be now worth maybe like $180,000 now. So that means that there's someone, and I know people. That's why I know people that have had this experience. There are people that were diligently investing in that company during that time.
Wow.
That are now millionaires today.
That's amazing.
Because of that, and off of that alone, they have done other things, because when you have the mentality of wanting to invest and take that approach, you don't just focus on one thing. You take it on as a whole. So they have other things that contributed to their wealth.
Right.
But I do know individuals that have literally become just millionaires off of diligently and putting their money into that particular stuff.
So for those of us who have kind of eaten the pie of, oh my gosh, it's so scary, the stock market, like, is it safe to trade on the local stock market? That's like a thought that a lot of us have.
All right. So is it safe to trade?
Yeah. And what is the risk tolerance level?
Got you.
Yes.
I completely understand. So I'll firstly clarify the safe to trade part.
Okay.
It is, trading is regulated, and RF is a basics licensed broker.
Okay.
So all of this is professionally done. Trading is a fair game. It's not, none of it is biased in any way. So it is safe in that regard. But again, as I said earlier, stocks can be one of the more lucrative investments that you can invest into. So the risk tolerance on it is high. Because if you look at it like this, like I said, you're basically buying ownership. You're buying ownership in a company, right? Think about if you were to start a business.
Yeah.
You're taking on the potential of that company to become extremely successful, and you will experience all of that success. But if it doesn't do well, you also experience those losses. So that's in a way why I understand why people become a little timid, because they there are stories of persons putting money in it and not going well for them. But you have to think about it from the sense of what it actually is and the potential it does have to grow for you. And while it is more aggressive, one of the main things that will this is a Warren Buffett quote I'm gonna kind of pull from that and expand on what it is. While it is a little more of an aggressive game to invest into stocks, knowledge and understanding of what you're putting your money in is always going to limit and reduce the amount of risk that you're actually exposing yourself to.
Okay.
So if you look at think about driving.
Yeah.
If you never did any driving lessons, your chances of getting into an accident is extremely high. Yeah, but you do driving lessons, you get your driver's license, now the chances increase significantly. That's exactly how it works.
Okay.
Your knowledge and understanding and putting in the time to understand what it is you're doing, putting your money into, is going to tremendously decrease the amount of risk it is that you feel as though you're exposing yourself to.
Okay, fantastic. Like, I am just like blown away because you've dispelled a lot of myths that I had, and I'm sure those of you watching may have had. You know, if you have any other questions, drop them in the chat. We're at the 25-minute mark, so we're gonna mosey. Can you imagine? The time flew by already. Wow. We have one more question before we get into Q&A. So for those who want to get started, how can they contact you or an RF Bank and Trust Trader?
All right. So as I said, anyone can open a brokerage account. I want to make that clear that no one is limited from not establishing a brokerage account, right? How you can contact us or speak with one of us in the brokerage department about opening a brokerage account is you can dial our number 603-6000, and you can ask to speak to someone within the brokerage department, or you can email us directly at brokerage, brokerage.com.
Okay.
brokerag at rfgroup.com. So it's brokerage@rfgroup.com.
Okay, great.
Yeah. So that would be the best way to contact us as far as opening a brokerage account. Because as soon as you hit us up, we're gonna email you back and let you know what's needed, set up an appointment, discuss what may be suitable for you, and we have a discussion about what it is that you should be doing or what it is you shouldn't be doing. So we don't just here's the forms and then nothing.
Throw us to the wall.
Yeah, no. So if there's someone who says, hey, I'm not willing to do the research into buying and selling, okay, let's just discuss something different then. Let's talk about something different. So even if you call and stocks may not, even listening now, if stocks aren't exactly what it is that you think you might be interested in, still give us a call. We might be able to help you to understand why it is something you should look into.
Right.
Or offer you something.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So we do have some questions that have come in from our YouTube, LinkedIn, Instagram, and Facebook. So we're going to get right into it. Okay. One of them is, can I be out of the country, that is the Bahamas, to trade stocks in the Bahamas?
Yeah, you can be. Yeah, you don't have to be in the Bahamas to have an account with us. That's the simple.
That's it.
Yeah. You can.
No more elaboration.
Yeah, no, to actually open the account,
right?
You have to come in. You have to meet with you.
Citizenship, like, do you have to be from the Bahamas?
No, you don't have to be. So the requirements for you to open the account will. So in a scenario like this, it will be different, and I wouldn't know exactly how to go about it until I actually know the situation.
Your citizenship.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. Exactly. So it would depend on the situation, but no, just because you don't live here doesn't mean you can't have an account here.
Okay. Yeah. That's good to know. I did not know that. All right. So we touched on it briefly, but is there any more information you can share on what kind of companies can we invest in?
Right. Yes. So there's about 20 equities on the local exchange. There are some other securities as well, but since we're talking about stocks, about 20 equities on the local exchange of multiple different industries. One from the healthcare industry would be like Doctor's Hospital is one. Another company from the financial institution outside of Fidelity would be like Finco, Commonwealth Bank. And you may just name off a few.
Yeah, go for it. People are taking notes.
Yes, AML Foods Limited. If you don't know what AML Foods Limited is, they a group of companies that own Wendy's, they own Domino's, they own Solomon's Fresh Market,
all of the food establishments we know and love.
Yes, exactly. Some of the places where all of us were basically going during the pandemic. So Solomon's Fresh Market. So that would, if you were paying attention during that time, you might have looked at it and say, oh well, they're getting all of the money. All the restaurants are closed now. This food store lines along. I should maybe buy some in. That I'm saying, it's just connecting the dots with something. So that would have been a
ripe time
to
invest. I did not think of that. I was just trying to make sure I wasn't like on that line
exactly,
for 2 hours.
Yeah, but I was standing there like, boy, this is a good opportunity.
Dang. Yeah, so see why you need a financial advisor
yes. That's why you need one of us. Yeah.
Always got to be thinking.
Yes. Okay. Always. So you don't look at you try to look at how is this going to be profitable.
Right. And during a recession,
yes,
which we are in currently, is that a good time to invest?
Yeah, so the have you ever heard the typical again Warren Buffett quotes?
You love
recession.
Warren Buffett.
Yeah, I do. His quotes are good and they're true. So another one is like you say, like recessions are basically like sales for the stock market is like a sale, like it's like a fire sale for stock market. So you get a lot of stuff cheaper than you normally would have. And a lot, the potential for growth when something is so low is a lot larger.
Okay.
So so recessions, they normally shifts of wealth that happen during that time, and persons who don't panic, and persons who take the time to understand, those are the persons that are going to always be successful during a recession period.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So another question we have is,
I just want to say something.
Oh yeah, go for it.
Because I understand the recessions are a general idea of how the economy is doing.
Right.
But just like how when things are going well, there's still people struggling. Just the same thing happens when we're in a recession. There are still people profiting during that time. You just have to find ways to make it happen. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So another question is, can a brokerage account only be used for trading?
No, a brokerage account doesn't have to only be used for trading. You can use it to buy bonds. You can use it to hold cash, which I won't say this bad because you won't earn anything on the actual cash. Brokerage accounts. The main purpose is for investing into securities.
Okay.
You can use it to invest into mutual funds. You can use it to invest into preference shares. So it's not only for trading. You can use it for all levels of investing into these what they call paper assets.
Okay. Yeah. And so what if I have no investment experience? What resources can you suggest?
Sorry, repeat.
Okay. So the question is, what if I have no investment experience? What resources can you suggest?
All right, for persons who aren't necessarily familiar with investing, doesn't have any experience, and are not, because not everyone is going to be interested in doing research to buy stocks. Again, I didn't want to stray away, but we do have products that line up with that. One of them being mutual funds.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. So another one is, what resources are available to keep track of the local market?
So everything that is done publicly, and it's all distributed through the newspapers.
But what about those of us who don't get the newspaper, man? Something got to be electronic.
BISX.
Okay.
BISX. So
BISX is what they call BISX.
Yes. BISX. So that's the Bahamas International Securities Exchange.
Okay.
So it's BISXBahamas.com. I think I referenced to them earlier.
Yes.
Yeah. So you can visit their website to find information on companies, and you can also visit. I'm at Central Securities Depository. Bahamas Central Securities Depository, BCSD. You can visit their website as well. You can find information on the publicly traded companies there as well.
Okay, great. All right, so we have a couple more questions coming in. Bear with us. I hope that you all have been learning a lot and enjoying this conversation with Quentin.
Yes.
I am blind, so I can't really see on the screen.
Same.
So I'm waiting for the screenshots to come in.
Yes.
Shout out to Just Juice Bahamas. Nails Canvas 242, Caribbean Coco. We see all y'all. Okay, so one of the questions are the dividends paid at the same time for all companies every year, or does it change?
No, it's not paid at the same time because the company actually is not, and this is why dividends can be such a good opportunity because it's not a fixed payment date or payment amount.
Okay.
So it's not. A company pays dividends based on their earnings for the most part,
Okay.
and to incentivize their investors. So no, it's not. It's not paid at the same time every year for every single company. Different companies. Some companies pay dividends once a year.
Okay.
Some companies pay dividends quarterly. Some companies pay dividends semi-annually. But the day in which it's paid or the specific month in which they pay it, no, it will not always be the same. This is one of those things that you can see on BISIC's website or in the newspapers. You'll actually see when they announce their dividends. So I encourage any of you that actually do read the newspaper. If you do, when you're looking through it, when you see a company that's say you see something say dividend notice, they'll actually say the record and payment date and the amount of their dividend that they're paying. Okay. So they announce it publicly because again, these are publicly traded companies. Okay. So all of the information they have to put it out to
publicly
the public.
Disclose. Yes. And that's in the finance section.
Yeah, no, it's normally in the business section, but sometimes it's also in the front section as well.
Okay. Yeah. So a few more questions. Is VAT only added for commissions?
Yes.
Okay.
It's only VAT is only added for the actual charge that we charge. We don't know we're not going to charge you VAT on the stock price. No.
Okay. Yeah. And so a question coming in from Facebook, can you trade over Cash App?
No, you can't trade over Cash App, unfortunately. No.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. So we're just going to see if there are any other questions. These were so good. We put Quentin in the hot seat.
No, I'm cool. I'm cool.
Calm, cool, and collected.
I need y'all to actually turn the AC down. You know? Okay. What I want to say is though, because the question about the Cash App, how trading is done here, no, we don't have a platform as yet where you can just go online and buy and sell things right now, unfortunately. Okay. But how it would work is once your account is established, you would call one of us in the brokerage department. If it was me, and you can call me, hey Quentin, I want to buy XYZ stock at this price. Okay. And then I will then place your order, or you can email it as well. Okay. And then I'll then place your order on the BISIC's market. Okay. And you will have a order to purchase those shares at a specific price that you told me. Okay. And once there's someone that's willing to sell the same amount of shares at the same price as you, that's when your order actually crosses. Okay. And then it takes 3 days to sell the shares. So let's say if the trade happened today is Wednesday. Mm-hmm. So that means by Monday you'll actually receive the shares, and then your account will be debited for the cash on that day. Okay. Yeah. That's so interesting because the question I was about to ask that came in was how long does it take for a trade to go through? All right, a trade once it's actually traded, that's the case. But how long it takes for an actual trade to go through will depend on if you're able to find if I'm able to find someone that'll actually be able to sell or buy into your order. So let's say, for example, you have a company, and let's use Fidelity. Because since we were already talking about it, we already know their stock price. Mm-hmm. At $18.20, if you want to buy the stock at $15, I can't say when that'll happen. Okay. Firstly, because that's a multiple dollars below what the current stock price is. And secondly, I should touch on this. There's a certain range in which the stock price can trade within a given day. Okay. So it can't go below or above a 10% mark. Mm-hmm. So $15 would just be outside of that range, so you wouldn't be able to trade. Okay. Yeah. Okay. I am so excited. We have so many questions coming in. Shout out QSQ Bar. He says, how long does it take for a trade to go through, which you said, if there are other bids for that security? All right. Very specific. Yes, we'd love to see it. Yes, I like that. Yes. So again, there has to be an order that's going to match your order. So if there's, and then also it's a first come, first serve kind of base. So if you want to buy 1,000 shares at a specific price, and there are 3 other people already trying to buy 1,000 shares at that specific price, your priority is going to come below theirs. Okay. So if someone comes to sell 1,000 shares, only that first top person will trade. But if someone comes to sell 4,000 shares and at that same price, then that is when all of your orders will actually cross. Okay. So it's these are because when you're buying it, you're buying and selling with other people, and that is why it's important to get people more into the market, because people look at the market and they think, oh, it's just the Bahamas, that's typical. No, there's nothing happening in the market, but there's a lot of opportunity. Like I said, I know people that diligently invested in, and now they're sitting pretty on a few pennies.
Right.
So yeah, it's the more persons you can get to actually participate, the more opportunity for buying and selling will actually happen.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So a few more questions. What do you recommend for beginner investors? Period.
Okay. I thought you were going to say something else. So
that's the question, Quentin.
I had actually, someone had asked that. And what I said was, while I guess if you're a beginner and you're not necessarily exposed to markets and you're not interested, like I said, in doing any of the research that's required to confidently invest in a company, we do have products to help you out with that. It's called one of the things is a mutual fund. And I just, like I said, because with the center point is stock trading today,
right?
I kind of wanted to say that, but yes, something that what persons which would align with persons who aren't necessarily experienced in the market would be a mutual fund. And to quickly say why, it's because a mutual fund is something that's actually managed by our investment managers. So it doesn't require, the only thing you're required to do is make sure you're making your contributions to grow it.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So the next question is, does RF Bank Trust and Arawak X do the same thing, i.e. trade stocks on BizX?
No, Arawak X does not. No, they're doing something called crowdfunding. So that's something different. Yeah. Can
you just explain a little bit of the difference?
Well, we trade publicly. We have publicly traded stocks on a public exchange. They're raising money outside, like they're raising money from the public for the public, but there's no exchange to actually trade those shares on.
Okay.
Yeah. So you own shares in the company, but you don't have a way of actually buying or selling them.
Okay.
After the offering, yeah.
Two different services and platforms.
Yeah. So it's both of it is still raising capital for a company.
Right.
But you could see the difference in which, because you can't go, so if you look at the companies RX has raised money for, you don't see their stocks publicly traded on the exchange.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So one of the final questions is, will this informative session be weekly, bi-weekly? How often will these live financial literacy conversations be happening?
Well,
with RF Bank and Trust.
I cannot say how often it will be happening.
Would you all like it to happen more often? Let us know.
Guys, how much people we happening now?
Let us know in the comments. Well, I'm seeing, I can only see IG, but I can't see YouTube.
Can you see
Facebook? He's coming from my eyes right now.
Okay. All right, so we got 32 people on that. I'm pretty sure if y'all can get this to maybe 100, we'd be more inclined to actually do, So let's invite friends and stuff like that next time, and then there'll be more of these to actually come.
I see Caribbean Coco is saying yes, more often, at least once I don't know what PL is. please. Okay, yes, please. All right. So RF Bank and Trust is taking notes. They see your feedback. Yeah. Let them know. Yeah, so I think if we don't have any more questions, they've even chosen a day for you all every Wednesday, at least once a month.
Every Wednesday, at least once a month.
Let us know what
you
want to talk about. Yeah, what kind of things do you want us to talk about?
I don't want y'all to think I limited to this. All things money.
All things financial independence, financial literacy.
Yes, all of it.
Helping to empower us
building
as
wealth,
people.
All of it.
Awesome.
Just becoming more financially stable.
Shout out Sonia Hills Lewis. Yeah, sounds like a plan. All right. Well, this has been such an empowering conversation. I learned a great deal. Thank you so much for breaking it down, Quentin. Yes. You gave us all of your knowledge, spoke to me in layman's terms. I can understand. Yes. And I hope our audience has taken away some really great nuggets from this informative session with RF Bank and Trust. 5 points that I have personally noted were that, number one, brokerage accounts make it possible for you to trade. So get that $100 so that you can open your account. RF Bank and Trust is a Bahamas International Securities Exchange, also known as BISX, which is a licensed broker. It is accessible to everyone. So let go of those myths about only wealthy people, rich people, having the ability to invest and trade in stocks. It's available to each and every one of us as Bahamians, as people around the world. The fourth point I wrote was that you can earn high returns. And finally, trading on the stock market is indeed secure. So, any final words, Quentin?
Lastly, I had a great time here. I enjoyed this thoroughly. It was great to share, my knowledge and the things that I've learned so far. Again, it's only at 18 I didn't know any of this. I'm only 27 now, and I feel like I've learned a great deal, and most of it came in the last 3 or so years. So I say that to say anyone that is watching that feel as though it's going to be something hard to understand, take that thought out of your mind. Just look at it and say, this is going to actually help me to have a better future, and take it that way. Don't think about it negatively. Have a positive mindset and a positive approach to it. And yeah, just again, call us at 603-6000. Ask to speak to someone in the brokerage department, or email us at brokerage@rfgroup.com.
Perfect. And just to wrap that up, you can contact me. I am Ife Bethel-Sears, spelled IFEBETHELSEARS, on Instagram or on LinkedIn. And you can find Quentin.
Yeah, so you can find me and my financial page at FinIQ_ByQ on Instagram. And I also have a YouTube page where I post videos about financial tips at FinIQ_ByQ.
And you can find him on LinkedIn at Quentin Gibson. The names are all on the flyers, so you can just screenshot them and add us. And so thank you again for tuning in and taking time out of your schedule to join us. Hope you learned so much. Bye. Bye.